Guys, it was a big weekend for Marvel and its movie Guardians of the Galaxy, which debuted with $94 million in its opening weekend, which not only was much higher than projected, but destroyed the August box office premiere record, which was previously held by the Bourne Ultimatum with $69.3 million in 2007. Guardians opened slightly lower than Captain America the Winter Soldier, but higher than Thor the Dark World, and more recently, Amazing Spider-Man 2, and X-Men Days of Future Past. Dennis, what do you think were the reasons behind Guardians of the Galaxy's surprisingly successful opening?
It was definitely a surprise. They were tracking it for like high 60s, maybe low mid 70s, and $90 million. That's crazy. It's funny because in an old episode, I think Schnepp, you, me, and John were talking about the projections, and me and John were talking about, hey, I think Planet of the Apes is going to do better. We'll get probably like 60 or 70 for Guardians, but you were right.
Yeah.
It hit 90.
Guys, it's kind of weird when you're totally right. Everyone else on the planet is wrong. It's kind of awesome.
Actually, I too had this conversation with Alicia, and after we watched the movie for the first time, we were talking about where it would project, and I was like, 60, 70, 80.
And I was like, you're crazy.
I was like, it's the best movie I've ever seen.
I said 100 million, guys.
Yeah. So you were a lot closer than me and John. But I think one of the main reasons is because Marvel's a trusted brand now. They've done so many movies, and besides what people say about Iron Man 3 and some other of the movies, none of the movies are terrible. Right. They're all pretty good. You know, some are better than others, but there isn't like a stinker in the bunch. So they've built up that loyalty. Otherwise, how else can you explain something like Guardians of the Galaxy that nobody has heard of?
Yeah.
Nobody. All of a sudden, people show up at the red carpet. They're big fans of this property that even like as myself that read comic books, I barely knew who Guardians of the Galaxy was. And I also think there's a curiosity factor. You have to remember the last new kind of character-led franchise was the first Captain America. Because since then we've had Thor 2, Captain America 2, Avengers, which is assembly of all those. So Guardians is actually the first new one in a long time. So Schnepp, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a super nerd, so I actually bought Rocket Raccoon 1 through 4 back in the olden days. So yeah, like aside from some of the people who like actually read comics, most people never heard of what the Guardians of the Galaxy were and what it is. But I think it's word of mouth and just the interest of something new. Yeah. That's why I think so many people flock to see this. Not only the brand of Marvel, which means like, oh, we know what we're gonna get, but here's this brand new universe of all these cool and interesting looking characters. A talking tree, a tiny like, you know, angry raccoon with a giant gun. I mean, who doesn't want to see that? And if it's done well, I mean, I just think all those things coming together and seeing great trailers kept that word of mouth and that buzz that just kept building. So, I mean, I'm really happy, and the movie delivers. So it's not one of those things where it's like it's an empty, oh, it made $100 million, but it sucks. It's actually a really fun and entertaining film. I can't wait to see it a second time.
Alicia?
Well, I think it's interesting to note that 44% of the ticket movie buying audience, whatever, were female. And that is the highest percentage out of any Marvel movie.
Wow.
I also think it's interesting that 55% of ticket buyers were over the age of 25. And I think it speaks to the nostalgic value of this property, how they weaved in the great soundtrack and then those great pop culture references that someone like me really loved. Also, 3D tickets accounted for 45% of the total price, and you know, with ticket prices being a lot higher for 3D and IMAX, that makes up a lot of money. I just think the marketing team did such a great job because they took this unknown property. In the trailers, they really focused on the relationships between the characters, and that made it seem not so weird that there's a raccoon and a tree. I mean, without big stars, I didn't expect it to do this well, but I'm really glad it did.
Well, speaking of the over 25, when I got out of seeing it for the second time, there was this crowd of like 4 or 5 senior citizens raving about how much they love the movie. And I was like, okay, you've got a hit on your hand when that's happening.
Yeah.
Maude, what do you think?
Well, I think the big part of this is the success of the movie. So you do have the hype, everyone's selling it, and then when you're going to watch it, you go back the next day. You've seen it twice, I've seen it twice. Like, people have that return value immediately, which is why I think we got to 90, because it could have been 60 if you only saw it once, but everyone went back. And I think, you know, we are talking about the nostalgia of the soundtrack. That first trailer that dropped, everyone kind of sat up and listened a little bit more because they're like, this is not only really cool, but it's really funny. And I think some of the times comic book adaptations can get a little bit serious, and this is injected with humor. And a lot of the response for this movie was, this is like watching Star Wars again for the first time, which again could be why the 25-year-old pluses are loving this, because we haven't, like, I never got to see Star Star Wars in the cinema, and I felt like I just did. And I think that was the reward that we got from this movie.
The movie like just opens up all these different parts of the Marvel cosmic universe. We're going to all these different home worlds. That's what's really exciting. Just within the first 20 minutes, you've just gone to like 4 different galaxies. You know, it's pretty fun. So it's you know, and also it opened in I think over 4,000 theaters. It was the largest rollout that's it Marvel's ever had.
And it hasn't even opened in a lot of international markets. Australia still haven't got it yet, so
and we've already got a sequel.
Do really well.
Right, there's already a mixtape too. What are the songs going to be?
Ooga chaka, ooga, ooga.
Chris Lee, what did you think of Guardians?
I mean, I don't think there's anything really not to like about it. It was a super fun film. Marvel's showing us again that, I mean, we just have to have our faith with them because they've shown us time and time again that they just continue to bring out fun. And this is a movie that everyone can enjoy. Like you guys were saying, every time I've gone to see it, which has only been twice, the audience is from children to grandparents. It's men and women, and everybody are laughing. Everyone feels from it. You get the best of everything in this. You get the team up. There's a little bit of a Star Wars feel to some spots. You get that 80s pop, like Alicia was saying. Like, this is such a fun movie. If you don't like this, you clearly don't like to have fun. Sorry.
Hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC movie talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.